Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back finally with more iRacing. Yes, 2022 Season 3 is here. Well, technically it's 2022 Season 2 Week 13, but we've got a lot of the all-new content coming to iRacing here today. So today we're going to be jumping in and taking on, I think, one of the most highly anticipated tracks, at least in my eyes, to have come to the sim in the last couple of years. Yes, we're going to be heading to Fuji. And of course, you know, two birds, one stone, all that. We're going to be taking out one of the all-new cars as well there. So this time round, we're going to be taking the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, or the 2020 model, as it's known in the sim. Of course, new car, new track. I thought, what a fun combo to really jump in here today. Of course, if you are new around here as well, and you do want to see more iRacing content from me, make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel. But of course, we've had the old Merc on iRacing for years. It was actually, I think, the very first car I ever bought in the sim, so intrigued to see how we get on with the new one here today. So I think first of all then we'll give it a bit of a sound test. Sounding pretty good to me there. Of course the old GT3 was known, you know, AMG. They make a very, very dirty sounding V8, you know, something very, very naughty down at the AMG Performance Centre. But yeah, this one certainly hasn't not lost that appeal as well, of course. Now, the old GT3 was very much known within iRacing as the sort of beginner's GT3 car. Now, that didn't mean it was bad by any means. It was obviously, where it's front-engined, it was very, very good, you know, sort of try and pick up the sim, you know. It wasn't quite like the Audi who, well, back in the day, the Audi was known as the sort of maniac's car choice. Obviously very, very fast, but very, very difficult to try and get a lap hooked up. Nowadays, I mean, yeah, you got the Porsche and the Lambo that really do give that thing a good run for its money. Of course, the Ferrari as well was always a very, very popular choice as well, of course. But yeah, the Merc was kind of just always a stronghold, you know, featured in a lot of different series as well. There, you know, in the VLN around the Nordschleife, you know, I don't even want to begin to imagine just how many laps have been done in this car around the Nürburgring on the sim as well. So I was always quite intrigued. You know, I think the GT3 Evo was always a car that a lot of people have been waiting for a very long time. I won't mention the McLaren 720S, that there are some very, very vocal people over on the iRacing forums are after that car as well then. But I think, you know, with the Ferrari 488 Evo as well, that's obviously recently launched on the sim a couple of seasons back, I'm loving that car. You know, I think it's time, you know, the Merc desperately needed updating as well. I'm waiting for them to try and make their own version of the Ford GT as well. But of course, yeah, no setup, anything like that today. We're just going to be running completely baseline here at Fuji as well. Of course, down the monstrous 1.2 kilometre front straightaway as well there. Of course, Fuji, for those of you that don't know, has hosted, I think, 4 Formula 1 Grand Prix ever. Probably the most memorable was the 1976 race, the absolutely torrential rain-affected affair that obviously decided the World Championship between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, where, of course, Lauda, after having that scary, scary crash at the Nordschleife earlier on in the year, just thought, you know what, this isn't worth it for a World Championship, so he actually pulled over. I think it was on lap 3. James Hunt had issues during that Grand Prix, but managed to recover and just do enough to walk away with the world title. Then it hosted a race in 1997, and then while Suzuka was getting a few track adjustments, I think it returned in 2007, 2008, if I remember correctly as well there. And I'll be honest, I think Fuji would be a brilliant track to come back to in Formula 1, you know. Not that I want to see Suzuka go, I think this is the problem with sort of limiting it the way they are, but, you know, Japan is such a Formula 1 and motorsport, just absolute car culture mad, the Japanese. You know, I think certainly, you know, with these two facilities, it's well worth trying to see it down the line whether we could try and squeeze in a second Japanese Grand Prix there. As you can just see Mount Fuji in the background as we head out of the final corner. But yeah, there we go, first sort of proper lap dialed in. I think we're going to be looking at sort of around a 142, 143 by the time we get back up to the checkered flag there. It always surprises me as well, actually, just how short Suzuka is. There we go, 141.7 at the end of the running there. You can see 160 miles an hour by the time we get back down towards turn 1. Going to be braking just as you reach the curbing on the outside there, maybe a little bit early this time around. We'll do one sort of more sighting lap, and then we'll really try and jump into a push lap and give you guys a bit more of a sound from this Mercedes as well there. But yeah, Fuji, of course, an iconic track. You do get the two variants as well. You know, you get this one and the one that skips at the chicane down at the end of Sector 2 there. Of course, the final sector of this lap really does affect the flow from the rest of the venue, but it is still, yeah, I must admit, I love Fuji. It's such a fun circuit, you know, very, very rewarding. But, you know, sort of one of those tracks that's easy to learn, difficult to master, you know, very, very wide in a lot of places. Hence why I think it would be good for an F1 return. But, yeah, just allows you to take some different lines as well. But, of course, yeah, to get quick round here, trying to maximise the final sector can be very, very difficult here. As you just see, yeah, you can obviously skip through this little hairpin and just head straight up the hill in towards this next corner, which honestly sometimes can be even more difficult to spot if you're trying to carry a little bit more speed in there. As we just clip the sausage curbs through the final few corners of the lap there. It's all about just trying to get the front end tipped in. So, you know, when we get to competitive racing this season, not sure whether the Merc would be the best car of choice around this track. You know, you sort of might want to try the Porsche, something like that, that really rotates around the rear end and gets the front end onto those apexes. But yeah, I'm excited. I want to try and give this Merc a go throughout 2022 Season 3. But yeah, let's give you guys then sort of a proper push lap where you can listen to some audio, and then hopefully we'll keep it clean, I suppose. A bit late on the brakes there down at turn 1. Maybe, yeah, just a bit brave that time round, but we'll find the time on the exit. Oh, a little bit of understeer there. Oh, we didn't get a 1x for it, though, which is quite nice. So clearly track limits then a little bit lenient here at Fuji. But yeah, just a few mistakes on this lap. We might just try and go for another one as we head through the final couple of corners. Oh, yeah, track limits definitely don't seem too strict around here. You know, I think iRacing over the last couple of seasons with the new releases have been pretty sensible for the most part. As we get another nice run out of the final corner. Seems like this Merc just allows a little bit more slip than the old one as well. I'm going to try and do a bit of a side-by-side comparison video later on in the week as well. So, you know, if that's something you want to see, make sure you get yourself subscribed for that one. But yeah, I might just give you guys one more run. Hopefully this time around we can actually get a whole lap in nice and clean. And apparently that line through turn 1 is going to give us a 1x there, so you can't extend off the first corner, but we'll keep going nonetheless. Love trying to spot the curb through turn 3 there. You really just down the one gear and flick it in as we head through turn 4. That's such a long corner, so many different lines you can take through there. You know, you can sort of try and run wide, get the car rotated back over to the right-hand side before you flick it in for the left, but that can compromise your run on the exit. It doesn't look like this time it has too badly, as then just down through here the line of least resistance before you get the car back over to the left hand side, braking just as you cross past the gantry. Doesn't seem like the ABS is too restrictive as well on this thing. You know, it kind of just likes to hug you in as well. Not the best line as we head back up the hill. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Fuji's such an iconic track as well there as well. You don't want to clip those sausage curbs apparently. That was not quite the line through there. We definitely did not get away with that one in the way I'd hoped. You know, the Merc often known as a bit of a heavy lumber bus in GT3s, but you throw it over that sausage curb, you're not going to have a fun time with it. But yeah, I think in terms of racing though as well, Fuji's going to be very, very exciting, I think, for a lot of people. You know, because of this huge front straight, because of the wide open nature of the venue, it is going to allow for a lot of good racing, and even things like LMP2s or the Mercedes Formula 1 car as well. You know, this will definitely be a track when that series returns on the main channel that I'm definitely going to have to try and give a bit of a test as well here. But yeah, I must admit, loving Fuji like I kind of always hoped I would. And yeah, you know, just helped as well by this Merc very, very drivable still, like the old one. So we get probably the best run I've done out of turn 1 this time round. But yeah, drivable, and still feels rewarding when you get it hooked up there. Feels a little bit more on edge than the old one, but nothing crazy like a lot of the other GT3s. Just going to try and run a little bit of a tidier line this time round up the hill. Of course, yeah, so much undulation. Oh, that's not quite going to be the line through there, as we just try and work out the limits of what this car can do and sort of where you can get away with on the circuit as well. They must have just nicked the back wheel over the grass, but even then, you know, some of the GT3 cars, the traction control would have completely cut in and you would have been facing the wrong way there, but in this thing, you can just about snap it back around there. It's down in towards the final few corners. I think what I'm going to do, we're going to get around the end of this lap, and then I'm going to give it one more sort of proper attacking mode attempt there. And we'll see if we can try and get one lap really hooked up there, because, yeah, Fuji and this car definitely reserve that? Definitely deserve that, sorry, was the word I was looking for. Let's go then, one final run here from Fuji. Nice and wide out the final corner. Get on the power nice and early. Try to avoid the traction control as best as possible. Didn't actually give myself the best run off the final corner, but of course you're pretty much at VMAX by the time you make it back down towards turn 1. There are of course so much downforce on this Merc as well. Let's just see what we can do now. It's over the line, 150 miles an hour. As you get up towards 6th gear, let's try and spot our braking point down in towards turn 1. Just before the curb, and that might actually be spotted quite nicely there. Really got to try and attack the curb. Obviously, if the track falls away from you, got to try and feel like you'd cut in the corner, to be honest, but you aren't, obviously, because the front end doesn't tip in as the track undulates away. Like I said, this corner I'm loving. 3rd gear on the way in, taking a lot of curb that time around. That might have just been very, very brave. I thought that might have been, you know, a 1 extra slowdown. And then through turn 4, just modulate the throttle. I think keeping the car over on the right-hand side is going to be the key there, because it just allows you to straight line brake a little bit tidier through the next turn. Definitely don't want to short shift though through there. This thing hasn't, well, I mean, it's got a lot of torque in the V8, but not quite enough if you're running at sort of 4,000 RPM there. As down the hill we go once more. Right, just past the gantry. Feel like I can be a little bit braver into here, but you can get away with using some of the curbing as well. Let's just head it back at the other side. Avoid that sausage curb. We learnt that through the next corner as 2nd gear once more. Again, you want to be aiming for that pole on the inside there as up the hill we go in towards the final few corners of the lap. Just trying to get the nose rotated in. Back end again, just trying to slip out a little bit underneath you, but that's fun. You want that little bit of play from the car as well, you know, when it is completely sort of just responding to everything. You kind of don't feel like you're getting the maximum out of it. And then as we head up towards the start-finish line once more, then I don't think it's going to be a new PB, but it is going to be another very, very decent lap there when all is said and done. Up towards the start-finish line then, that is going to only be a 41.6 there, so actually a fair way away from my personal best. Can't quite remember which lap that was where we got a 41 flat there, but very, very good fun nonetheless. So there we go then. That is my first drive in the all-new Mercedes AMG GT3 car here, of course, around the all-new Fuji circuit as well. Of course, tomorrow we will be back in the GT4 variant, where we're going to be taking that to the other new track on the road side of things, obviously over at Sandown. Of course, then we've got the Radical SR10 as well. They're going to be taken to probably a bit more of an old-school circuit. I got one place in mind that I think you might already be able to guess as well. But yeah, would I recommend the new AMG GT3? If you were a fan of the old one and you were still using it, definitely. If you like the GT3 cars that, you know, have got a little bit more fight to them, sort of a little bit more keep you on edge, maybe this thing won't quite be the right car for you, but it will completely depend on your driving style. However, Fuji, a must-have, in my opinion, if you're racing on the road side of things there, and I think it'll be very, very popular on iRacing as well. But yeah, like I said, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we'll be back very, very soon with more of 2022 Season 3 content.